Welcome to the Driver's Line. I'm Greg.
And I'm Jordan.
And today, we've got a conversation for you.
In today's conversation, we're going to take a look back in time. We're looking back at auto manufacturers past, and we're trying to find a model that we would really like to bring back into the modern day just so we can buy it new again.
Exactly. We're going to get in our TDL time machine again. We're going to go back to whenever we want and bring a model that is no longer made back, because we look back on some of these cars and we're like, man, that was such a cool car, and they don't make it today, or something has turned into a monstrosity of its former self, and you're just like, man, how could that weigh more than a Tahoe? But it does.
But it does, yeah.
And it's supposed to be a performance vehicle.
Okay, all right, Greg is going a little bit on a rampage here.
So we're trying to go back to like a simpler time when cars were machines, when there was something tactile, when they're analog. What would you want to bring back?
Well, Greg is setting me up perfectly for this. So I went back in time, and as Greg is saying, right, to us, cars, it's an emotional thing. It's a connection that you have to the vehicle. So no car, I think, speaks to that more for automotive enthusiasts than the E46 M3, right? So we're going back in time to a time when BMW styling was classic and timeless and clean. The weight of them was actually normal, right? So this car, I mean, I'm not going to say it's lightweight, right? But no, we're talking about...
It's still a luxury car, but it doesn't weigh more than a Tahoe like the new M5.
I mean, this car, just to give you an idea, okay, the E46 actually weighs less than my Volkswagen GTI.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're talking about a car that has serious performance chops, rear-wheel drive, right, 6-speed manual, straight six, 333 horsepower. You can rev it to the moon. And it's all pretty lightweight when you consider what's involved. So you have that tactile analog steering. All the inputs just speak to you about everything the car is doing. And it has the best of everything. And BMW has just gone so far away from this in every possible way.
They have strayed completely from what their path used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even if you go back before that, like the E36, the E30 before it, those were driver's cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were analog, they were fun to drive, they weren't like these massive, huge horsepower things, but they were fun. There's a reason why so many people have converted their E46 M3 into a race car. It's because it's that good. The S54, fantastic engine.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Revvy, powerful, just wonderful to ring out on a track.
And and BMW and a lot of these European manufacturers, I mean, there's a lot of like red tape and legislation that's obviously tied into that. Because we need to have EVs and we have to bump up the MPGs and that's fine, whatever. Do that with some of your models. But we're bastardizing these performance cars. I mean, not that a performance car is about, miles per gallon, but like an E46, you're almost getting 30 miles a gallon highway on it, right?
Yeah.
So you can do this by like keeping weight down and really focusing in on what a driver's car is meant to be, still have the performance. We can have a little bit of fuel economy and stuff, but this is not a car about fuel economy.
No,
like, why are we making these hybrids?
A fun car, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't need to be a hybrid.
Yeah.
Again, M5.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, what is the point of doing that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't make sense. To your point, get your MPGs elsewhere. Because it's a standard across the entire line. It's not for one vehicle.
Exactly.
Like how much additional miles per gallon does that hybrid setup get the M5?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is why like Chevy sold the Volt, right? So we can have the Corvette Z06 with a 7-liter V8.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you have the breadth of your lineup. I really think they need to go back to simpler times. And when you consider, like the contemporary to that M3 nowadays is probably like the M2, right? So very similar size. It's still got a similar powertrain, although now it's turbocharged, right? So, but even then now we're taking away a lot of the driver involvement. And I mean, Greg's driven one, so
M2
he
Comp,
can attest to that.
Yeah, again, the M2 Comp is a fantastic vehicle. Yeah. Part of the reason people loved it when it came out is because it harkened back to that E46, which is what BMW fans and frankly just sports car fans really, really want. Because they want these types of vehicles, and that's what the M2 kind of went back to. And now again they made the M2, I think it's almost like 4,000 pounds now, which is just unbelievable with the new one. Yeah. Yes, I mean, lots of horsepower, okay. Huge performance envelope, fine, but you still lose that tossability that all these older cars used to have.
Yeah, so I would love for that car to come back. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, if BMW just started making new E46 M3s, they'd probably sell really,
oh my
really
God, they would sell like hotcakes.
As long as they met like all the safety standards.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatnot,
well,
it's fine.
we'll get there.
You know, whatever. Yeah.
Technology.
Yeah, technology. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Speaking of technology, the car I want to bring back is, or was, the pinnacle of technology for its time.
Oh, okay.
Literally the tops of everything. It is something that I couldn't afford then and certainly cannot afford now on the used market, but is probably one of the most legendary cars ever made. And right now there's nothing like it on the market. Absolutely nothing.
All right.
Nothing. So, 3-seat configuration.
Oh my God.
BMW sourced
Wow.
S70
We are reaching.
V12 engine, 618 horsepower, butterfly doors,
Yeah.
manual gearbox,
Special car.
fully analog, everything. Guinness World Record holder for top speed at the time, 240 miles per hour. A modified version won the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Indeed.
It wasn't built as a race car. They literally modified an existing one and won the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And only 106 were made
Wow.
between 1992 and 1998.
That's incredible.
And so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So tell the people what we're talking about.
The McLaren F1.
The McLaren F1, exactly.
That's a special car.
Yes, it is probably the best last analog road car ever made. Because after this is when really people started to get into turbocharging, supercharging to hit those huge power numbers. This was a naturally aspirated V12.
It's insane.
Just made wonderful, wonderful power. And just like going back 30 years is when you have to get to this anymore. Because anything beyond that really didn't meet these categories.
Yeah, I mean, record holder for years, and rightly so. And when you look at the special features on it, I just, I think back to Jay Leno did an episode with his, and he just went through all the special uniqueness and the features on that car. And like, obviously the numbers on it are just insane, right? They're just insane for the time. But like, you look at all the care that went into it and the thought behind everything. And nothing is just done by committee, right?
No.
Everything is purposeful. I mean, the gold plating on all the I mean, it's just wild. And that engine is beautiful.
That was absolutely gorgeous. And, it was the first one to actually use a carbon fiber monocoque chassis. Like, I mean, we've seen that technology has trickled down to even to cars like the Alfa Romeo.
4C?
Yeah, 4C. So the Alfa Romeo 4C is probably the least expensive vehicle you can get with that monocoque chassis in it now.
BMW i3?
Yeah. The least expensive car was 40 in pictures. Fine. All right.
Hey.
But again, this car is like motorsports royalty because McLaren at the time was, at the top of their game from a Formula One standpoint. And that's really the reason why they named it the F1 is because they wanted to have this car be like the distillation of all that technology. Yeah. I mean, Gordon Murray was the chief engineer of this vehicle. He went to Ron Dennis, who was the head of McLaren Motorsport at the time, and said, we need to do this. And so they all came together, they did it. And looking at cars that use F1 tech now, like, I mean, you've got the Mercedes AMG 1, which uses F1 technology now, and the Red Bull RB16, which is famously designed by Adrian Newey, that's using that technology. These cars are just basically the modern iterations of what the F1 was. But the F1, even though it doesn't have the performance of these new ones, is better.
It is.
It's better because it's analog.
And it's better because it has 3 seats.
Yes. 3 seats.
Who does
Exactly.
that?
Exactly.
I mean, that is obviously not the point of it, but how wild is that?
How wild is that?
Like,
So, this S70 V12, famously, BMW, guess what they used to kind of test it in?
Do tell.
They used an M5 Touring.
Wow.
So they put this V12 engine in an M5 Touring. We're ripping around in Germany. And apparently this car is in like some super secret BMW storage facility right now to this day. So that car is still in existence that was testing the McLaren F1 engine. And McLaren actually went to Honda to say, hey, do you guys want to build us a V12? But it ended up not working out, but all the better, right? Because they were able to get an engine that had the right block length because, again, fitting things was really important here and actually had a higher specific output than what they were going to ask for from Honda.
That's insane. I mean, it's such a beautiful car and so well engineered.
Yes. And 30 years later, McLaren still remains the fastest naturally aspirated car in the world.
That's crazy.
30 years later. I mean, just unbelievable. this car needs to be brought back. Again, there's only 106 made, so God love you if you've ever actually had the opportunity to see one in person, let alone drive one.
I know.
But, just one of the most outstanding cars ever made, and is going to go down in history as one of the best cars ever built.
Yeah, it's certainly one of those cars that you're going to have a poster of on your wall, right? Growing up, I know it was one that I really admired when I was growing up.
Growing up.
It's the car. What do you mean? It's a car I picked on my video games all the time.
On my wall.
He still does. Sure, the wife loves that.
Some guys have girls over the bed. I've got a McLaren F1. Whatever you need.
The gull-wing doors really do it. No, I think that is a fantastic choice. You're absolutely right, because even in the supercar market nowadays, right? We're doing hybrids. We're doing forced induction.
Hybrid, forced induction or hybrid. Understandably, because everybody's using technology, right? That's what the F1 did at the time. But looking back on it, it is a machine. It is a simple machine with the best of everything into it.
Yeah, why not have both?
Yeah,
give me the hybrids. That's fine for folks who want those numbers or number chasers. But those of us who want emotion, we want that raw experience. Give us both.
Just so good.
Yeah,
it is so good.
They would sell every single one they made.
Yeah,
no doubt.
100%.
For whatever price they're asking,
yes,
I am sure.
Every Arab chick would have one.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice.
Wow.
Awesome. Well, we hope you enjoyed our episode on bringing those wonderful cars back.
Yeah, we've only obviously talked about it too, but let us know what you would bring back. We'd really be interested to hear about it. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us on The Driver's Line.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss a thing.